Yeah, just recently we had a customer requesting the company tax ID be placed on the receipt. And so my husband was talking to the staff. Remember to put the tong bien on it. Speaking really fast. And they kept picking up like the bien part. And so, What? And they kept thinking he was talking about poop, so. What? Oh, but we got it sorted.
Got it. Figured out the tax ID.
Yes.
Yeah, the tong bien versus the da bien.
Yeah.
Yes, I deal with a lot of da bien as I have 2 dogs.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our show today. My name is John Drummond, or Yang Haoen.
Hello, 大家好，欢迎各位再度来到 NG 英文，我是 Angela。
We have a great episode for you today with my good friend Mai, spelled M-A-I, who is known around the Taiwanese and professional community as Mai Bach.
是的，今天我们邀请到全台北第一间认证的这个全素餐厅乌恰恰自然食的创办人 Mai 来跟大家做分享。
My guest today is Vietnamese American, but has been living in Taiwan for quite some time now. She is a social impact entrepreneur. She is the co-founder of Cha Restaurants here in Taipei. She is a believer of a plant-based lifestyle, making positive impact, building communities, and so much more. So everyone, please welcome my good friend, Mai.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Boom. What's up, Mai? You are an incredibly busy woman. You are running multiple locations of restaurants. You're starting a new location in Hsinchu. But before we begin, can you tell our audience here on NG Ingwen who you are and what you do?
Hey everyone, I'm Mai. I'm chef and owner of vegan plant-based restaurants here in Taipei called Cha. And yes, we are currently opening a third project. It will be under a different brand, but it's going to be in Hsinchu. And I've been in Taiwan for 13 years.
13 years.
Yes.
You are officially an OG.
Oh my God. I can't believe that's happening. I remember like when we first got here and people would be like, oh, I've been here for like 20 years. I'm like, wow, that's never going to happen. Yeah.
So true. So true.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm coming up on 6 years and I can't believe it. I'm like, where did the time go?
You're halfway there.
I know. Well, I love that you are such a pioneer actually in the vegan plant-based food industry. So can you take us a little through the origin story? What was the concept of Cha? Maybe where did the name come from? And what was it like entering into the space in Taiwan where you focused on plant-based, healthy options for Taiwanese and foreigners?
So about 2010, I read a book called Eating Animals, and it totally changed my perspective on how our food was being produced. And it immediately turned me vegetarian overnight. So right when that happened, my husband and I decided to take a 6-month backpacking trip through China and Southeast Asia on a very, very tight budget. So we were eating a lot of noodles at the time. And since I had taken all animal proteins out of my diet, I wasn't thinking about how to replace them. And so after 6 months of doing that, obviously I saw some health issues. From that, I started to research, okay, well, I did this through my diet. How can I help myself through my diet? And so that kind of took me on this plant-based raw food journey. And we came back to Taipei and I was eating this way and finding it really hard to eat out. Like there's lots of Buddhist vegan options here, but you're kind of not sure like what type of oils they're using, what methods they're using to cook, and like what the ingredients are. Really delicious, but can't really eat that every day. So I started cooking a lot for myself and experimenting with all kinds of different vegetables and relearning how to cook, right? And use ingredients differently. And we started testing this on our friends around us, and they started seeing the new way I was eating. And there was this curiosity that we saw around around all the people around us. So it kind of was a light bulb moment for us. And we're like, oh, maybe there's enough interest to actually start something. Maybe there is like a kind of new market that's emerging. And so that's how we decided to first open the restaurant. And Cha came about because the first iteration of this idea was we were going to be a vegan tea house. And we're like looking for spaces for a tea house. And we came upon this really cute corner space at Guting. And it was very small. If you're familiar with ping here in Taiwan, it was 7 pings. It's tiny. So we're like, we can't have people sitting in here for 3 hours drinking tea. So we moved away from that and went more with a cafe idea. But at that time we had already stuck with uchacha. Someone was like, oh, you're doing cha, ooh la la, how fancy. And then they were like, uchacha. And we're like, oh, maybe that's it. That's the name.
I love that. Yeah, because every time I say it, I think of, right, the Mandarin word for tea, which is cha. And there it is, the little pun right there. Yeah. I just love that. And so true, too, because I was a vegetarian when I arrived in Taiwan. And just eating at the Buddhist restaurants, I was always like, why is this so oily? What oil are they using? And where are they sourcing all the ingredients? And so I had been so happy when I found your restaurant and kind of went through like understanding that, yeah, you were one of the first to be doing it here in Taipei and Taiwan really as a whole. And so what was that journey? I mean, how are you educating the market, foreigners and Taiwanese, about what it means to actually have like healthy plant-based?
Yeah, so at the core of Uchacha, we always wanted to, educate and empower people to understand the choices that they have. So we started first with the health aspect because everyone selfishly cares about their own health. So we're talking about the ingredients, how you can best prepare them and use them. And we were giving a lot of free workshops actually in that space in the beginning to bring people in and just like expose them to this type of cooking. And then as Instagram became popular, we started taking a lot of the education online and stopped doing a lot of the in-person workshops. And our partners were so amazing at the time. It was so new and they knew what we were doing was really interesting. So they started pushing us out to a lot of media. So we still don't actually pay for media exposure. So all like the magazines, TVs, everything you see is just like pure interest and our partners kind of referring us to different people.
That's beautiful. So organic. So organic in that way that you've grown like that. Yeah. As we are now kind of cooling down with the whole lockdown period within Taipei, I mean, can you take us a little bit through what was it like to deal with having multiple restaurants during COVID?
That was really scary. I mean, the point where they instituted lockdown, it was like 3 days where like the first cases came out and then it just kind of escalated and they instituted level 2. It was days, right? We were all on edge and we hadn't really thought about what would happen. We were maybe in denial about it. And because Taiwan was handling it so well. So it was really, really stressful. We had to, stop all indoor dining and had to rely solely on the delivery platforms, which I think everyone is aware take a brutal commission rate. And so we had to make a decision to close operations for our larger location because the delivery couldn't make up the losses we were taking.
I'm so sorry. And it's just trying to be so empathetic to that and sympathetic to that because you think about the whole community, the whole restaurant community is just taking these incredible hits and you're a mom and pop shop. And I'm so glad that we're kind of reopening and now you feel like you're kind of on the way getting back to full steam. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're slowly. It's a slow climb. I don't know what the full recovery period will be like. We're hoping that after Chinese New Year, it'll start to pick up. That is also our season. Like our food tends to be more for summer and spring. We have warm items, but we're all seasonal eaters. So, when it gets cold outside, we want those hearty soups and stuff. So we do bring out the curries, but you can't compete with hot pot sometimes.
I know. Hot pot is, oh my goodness. I've become very Taiwanese in that. I love hot pot so much. I eat it.
I know.
I eat it in summer though. Who am I kidding?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really hope that you and the team can get up to full steam and continue on your mission.
I appreciate it.
访谈上半段一开始这边麦讲到说他其实已经来台湾13年了，而且最近在筹划开第3间餐厅。那当初会决定开始走植物饮食这个路线是因为读了一本书叫做 Eating Animals。 好，那读完之后可能就是被内容震撼到吧，就立马对我们吃下肚的食物的这个生产过程呢改观，决定吃素。但因为他改吃素了，身体没有再继续吸收动物性蛋白质，加上当时又没有找其他的替代方案，导致呢长期下来健康就出现了一些问题。直到后来发现植物性饮食，发现这个生机饮食的选项之后呢，健康才慢慢有所改善。但问题是台北街头虽然有不少素食餐厅啊，但是真的也很难去知道说他们是怎么去料理客人的餐点啊，也不清楚店家用的油啊好不好什么的，所以就决定干脆自己来煮好了。那也就是因为这样子，让我们来宾开始跟朋友分享他做好的饭菜， 最后因为实在是太好吃了，而且生机饮食又算是一个新兴市场，所以才决定来开餐厅。不过大家刚才有听到吗？他们店名乌恰恰其实是从法文的乌拉拉来的，因为当初本来是要开茶餐厅，所以把乌拉拉改成乌恰恰，取其中那个发音的异曲同工之妙。那这句乌拉拉它的意思跟用法我们也来认识一下哦，瞬间变法文课这样。没有啦，其实在英文里面它也是很常被用来形容各种让人叹为观止的人事物，不管是某个正妹出现了想要赞叹一下，还是某道菜好吃到不行，都可以随时用乌拉拉来表示我们内心的澎湃，甚至如果是让你觉得很烦很不爽的事情，也一样可以用它来当你的发语词。只是语调就会有点差别，一个是乌拉拉 you are gorgeous， 天哪你也太美了吧，另外一个是乌拉拉 it's so cold， 就是天哪冷死人了这个天气，一种很不耐的那个感觉。另外一个要来跟大家介绍的是植物性饮食和生机饮食，还有全素等等这些跟吃素有关的英文说法。首先 vegetarian 这个字应该是大家比较熟悉的，它可以用来表示吃素的人或是形容吃素的，但是这只是一个大方向啊，如果你想要更细分一点的话，我们还有方便素啊、海鲜素、全素这一些。那方便素的话我们可以说 pescatarian，就是 flexible 弹性的和 vegetarian 这两个字的结合。那海鲜素的话可能就比较不常听到，但是也没关系，我们来听一下，说不定未来有机会用到嘛，对不对？海鲜素我们可以说 pescatarian， 再来全素的话就是 vegan。 那如果是刚才访谈中提到的植物性饮食和生机饮食的话，我们还可以说 plant-based diet，还有 raw food diet。 plant-based 它是一个复合形容词，它中间有一个横杠，把 plant 还有 base 两个结合在一起，plant-based diet。 再来他们也有提到一部分是关于跟社会大众提供的这个饮食教育，毕竟不管是谁应该都还蛮在意自己的身体健康吧，所以之前他们常常都会举办一些讲座啊，一些 workshop， 来跟大家宣导这个植物性饮食的相关资讯和准备食材的一些方法，而且还因为受到广大回响，不少杂志新闻媒体都会来跟他们做采访，刚好呢也就帮他们打了免费的广告，增加不少曝光率。只是因为后来就是疫情爆发嘛，跟很多其他餐厅一样，都是在营运上受到了很大影响，变成只能做外送，但是就单靠外送订单真的很难撑下去，光是外送平台上面收的佣金就够吓人了，所以最后不得已还是就是关闭了其中一间分店。不过他们预计在过完年比较不冷之后，生意应该会慢慢好转，因为毕竟他们主要的食材都是比较偏清凉消暑型的。好啦，那这段内容就先在这边告一段落，我们赶快继续听下半段的分享。
So thinking about kind of your own journey as you are the creator, but you're also the head chef, the executive chef, and you were telling me off air, you were cooking, almost every shift for 6 years. So what was that like as this is your baby and you're actually cooking every single meal?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was really hard to find people that were familiar with this type of cooking. Like, I was very specific about what ingredients we wanted to use, how we were looking at our supply chain, and how we actually process and prep with the food. So as time has gone on, it's been 6-7 years now. Uchacha turned 8, but I was in the kitchen every day for, 6 years. With that, the staff has grown with me, and also like the larger market is starting to become more familiar. There's YouTube channels now, and so people understand and know how to work with the ingredients in a new way. So it's easier for me to kind of step out of the kitchen.
Yeah, well-deserved.
Thank you.
As you can kind of breathe for a second, but now you're going to open up a new restaurant. So question I love to ask is about the future. So where do you see yourself evolving to the future with Uchacha or just yourself?
Like I said, our main goal is to educate and empower people. And that's also for myself. As I've kind of grown into an entrepreneur and opening restaurants, I'm starting to find that my passion lies in food justice. And it's how do we bring like food systems into a more community and local context. And so with each new project, I want to think about what area we're in and how we can actually create a positive impact for that community. So that's kind of the future, like trying to figure out how we build these systems in a way that help communities the most.
That concept of if you're in Hsinchu, what are local farmers in that area growing at that time of year and how to build menus based on that. Is that correct?
Yeah. And it's about the seasonality of the food, but also like the community of people, right? Like what is going to best serve that community of people? Like where are they in terms of their education? What do they know about the food? What do they need help with, right? So with each community, it's a little bit different.
That's fascinating, and I wish you nothing but success with that. And I love how much of a pioneer you are in this space, and education and empowering is your main goal. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So do you mind if we shift gears a little bit
Not at all.
into kind of the story of Mai? So Mai is a cool name, spelled M-A-I, and that is Vietnamese. Is that correct?
It is. It's a type of flower.
Ooh, it's a type of flower.
Yes.
Okay. So your family is Vietnamese. You grew up in California. Can you take us through a little bit of your growing up experience? You were exposed to Vietnamese at home, English at school, and with friends. So what was that like?
Yeah, so my first language was Vietnamese, and then obviously English took over once I entered school, and I was only speaking Vietnamese at home. I wasn't put into classes when I was younger, so I'm pretty much illiterate in Vietnamese, but I'm conversational. So it was interesting. I didn't learn that Vietnamese was a tonal language until I was in my 20s, which is crazy to think about, but it's just like, you hear it all the time and you don't think about actually the structures or the origin or the grammar. And I think that's with all native languages.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when I was learning how to teach English, I was like, oh, that's how grammar works.
You're just like, oh, that sounds right to me.
Yeah, right. How many times do we do that? And that's so cool too, because that kind of takes us to when you met your boyfriend, husband now, he was studying Mandarin and he was like, hey, you should be able to pick up Mandarin. It's tonal language.
Exactly. And that's kind of my aha moment. I was like, no, Mandarin sounds so crazy and it's different. Wait, Vietnamese is a tone. Oh, Vietnamese is not just a tonal language. It has 7 tones. And I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
And that's so cool. And so fast forward then, you came to Taiwan in 2008, which is amazing. And that journey was English teaching at the time, correct?
Yeah. So when we graduated, we weren't sure what we wanted to do next. And he wanted to kind of round out his Mandarin speaking and learning, the cultural side. So he wanted to go to either China or Taiwan. And with me coming with him, he knew the transition would be easier if we like kind of soft landed in Taiwan. And so that's what we ended up doing. And to work, we decided to teach English.
Yeah, so cool. And now you guys transitioned out of that. You are co-founders, co-creators of Uchacha. And what's so cool too, I think, is the fact that your restaurant becomes bilingual. So your staff, you're hiring local Taiwanese a lot of times, right? And they have to be bilingual. So can you take us through, what is it to onboard new staff and the training process and how you guys do that bilingually?
So it's been really amazing that we've been able to find kind of, college students, different team members that have all been able to have some level of English ability. That's pretty amazing for Taipei. We do specifically look for it because we want, Spencer and I, my husband, want to be able to interact with all the employees and learn about them and like build relationships. So we do look for that. It's not a requirement in that you need it to work in the space, but it's kind of a requirement for us to build the culture and get to know everyone. And for us, it's really fun because we get to understand the Taiwan culture through our staff, right? And like how they see the world because of, their native language being Mandarin, right? And their second language being English. And they have all these questions for us sometimes. And we can actually help them in class. They'll be like, oh, I got this assignment. What does this mean? So it's really fun on both sides.
That's so pure. I love that. Yeah, and you were kind of telling me off air that your staff just played a fun little trick on Spencer. Sorry, Spencer. Shout out to you. But I love this little story I just heard about Halloween, which is Uchacha's anniversary. So can you share that story?
Yeah, so Halloween happens to be when we started operation. So it's also a really big party for us and a celebration. And we love bringing all the costumes out, and it's one of our biggest parties. This year, one of our store staff, they all got together and decided to wear basically hazmat suits and play a little bit of a prank on my husband. They came over for the party and they sent 2 employees in that they knew we wouldn't recognize because they were just in training and they were new. And they came in saying that we had a positive COVID case. And they were saying this all in Mandarin at one point. The acting was so great. They look at the other staff members and go, hey, does this guy understand what I'm saying? And so my husband, he was so shocked and he was freaking out a little bit. But then the rest of the staff came in and we realized it was a joke.
I would have been terrified. I'd have been like, no, we just reopened.
It is the worst nightmare of a restaurant to have like a positive COVID case.
Oh my goodness. So thinking about kind of your own language journey and your staff's language journey, have you noticed any kind of actionable tips maybe that people can think about when they're learning a new language?
I think the first thing is just use it. Like the phrases and the things I understand most are the phrases that I'm using constantly, right? And consistently and what I'm around. So food names, I'm so good with like vegetables and fruits because I'm hearing it all the time. And just being around the language, you know, like I'm hearing the staff talk and I'm starting to pick up, you know, common phrases. So you have to really force yourself to use it and be around it in a natural environment. I think classroom is okay to like learn the basics, but you really have to be in a natural setting. So put yourself in those natural settings.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So do you remember, you know, with your staff or with your husband or yourself, do you remember any funny stories that you guys have had with language now over the years?
Yeah, so just recently, this week, someone was asking for like the company ID tax number, the tongbian, to be put on the receipt. And he kept saying it very quickly. And the staff around kept saying like, wait, what is he talking about? Like, wait, is he saying like dabian? And like, so they all kept thinking he was talking about poop the whole time.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, tongbian and dabian. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's, you know, there it is with the tonal language again.
Yeah.
I hope that all got sorted out.
It did. And, you know, this happens like vice versa as well. Sometimes we'll say things in English or, you know, they're saying things in English. It's all a fun time, especially the metaphors in English. They get the staff.
Oh man, I can't imagine. I think we were kind of talking a little bit about 2 birds with one stone, you know, like translate that to Chinese and then explain the origin of that expression is just a nightmare.
It's a fun time. They're just like, wait, how does that work? And why do you guys say this? And where did it come from? And I'm like, you know what? I've actually never thought about it. I'm going to go look it up.
Awesome, Mai. Well, unfortunately, we are coming to the end of the show here. Thank you for making time out of your very hectic schedule. But a question I'd love to end NG England with is, if you could go back and talk to a younger Mai, would there be any advice you give yourself about being a chef, an entrepreneur, language, anything?
Yeah, for sure. I think build your skill set and like really work towards perfecting it. So, you know, I wish I had taken the Chinese language classes when I first got here. It would have really helped with the language learning and also finding out what I was passionate about early on and just like really honing in on it. I had no idea food was where I was going to be.
Awesome. Well, where can people find more of your life online, or where can they find restaurants to come check you guys out?
Yeah, so you can find anything about the company Uchacha on Instagram and on Facebook under OOHCHACHA, Uchacha. And you can find me on Instagram personally at Kiss My Lemongrass.
Oh my goodness. That's so great. Oh my goodness. Guys, kiss my lemongrass, okay? This is...
I mean, there's a lot happening in that one phrase. You know, it has my name in it. Lemongrass is like an iconic thing in Vietnamese culture. But if you know about English, you can kind of see what I'm playing with there.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes. So check out Uchacha or Kiss My Lemongrass.
Yes.
I love it. Awesome, Mai. Thank you for joining us on NG England, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, had a lot of fun. Thank you.
访谈下半段这边，我们乌恰恰的创办人麦分享到他在餐厅开张后的前6年都是自己在厨房里亲自帮客人准备食材，因为当时对植物性饮食这概念了解的人不多，也不容易找到懂得怎么去做这类料理的合作伙伴，加上对各种材料啦做法他也都很讲究， 所以就通通自己掌厨，直到后来这种饮食方式越来越盛行，越来越多人熟悉这种料理了，才找来帮手帮忙，自己呢也就慢慢退离厨房。但这不是说他就没事咯，反而是让他有更多时间精力可以去致力投入他一直很重视的食物正义，也去宣导健康饮食的观念，同时也想办法把食物系统的概念带进这个当地小农社区，想办法去透过这样子的系统呢，给社区居民带来正面影响。这边有一个动词片语，我们来听一下 lie in something， 它有在于的意思，所以刚才麦说他的 passion lies in food justice， 字面上是在说他的热情在于食物正义，那其实用我们平常熟悉的说法来讲的话，就是他对食物正义这个议题呢非常有兴趣，也很有心，想要好好去在这方面发展，帮社区带来改变。其他例子还有像我们常说的什么成功的秘诀在于怎样怎样怎样，好，那我们就可以说 The key to success lies in 什么什么什么。好，只是要记得这边的 lie 跟说谎没关系哦。另外他们也有提到的部分是关于麦他在语言学习这一块的背景。好，那大家相信可能也是多少都有耳闻，不少美国移民可能从小都是讲爸妈原乡的语言，上学后呢才开始接触英文，所以就让他们形成一种从小就是双语的成长背景。那我们来宾也不例外啊，只是因为他虽然在家都讲越南文，但是都没有去上越南课，所以其实口说比较行，如果要读要写的话就没法度。好，那我们如果想要表达这种只会听说不会读和写，或是讲直白一点就是文盲的话呢，可以用刚才他提到的这个字 illiterate。 那相反的会读会写的话，就把前面否定的字首 ill 拿掉，变成 literate，好，变成是 illiterate 还有 literate。 另外一个字我也想来跟大家分享的是 tonal language， 声调语言，像中文、越南文、泰文等等都是 tonal language。 再来麦提到说他们的餐厅会特别去找会讲英文的员工，一来是因为沟通上会稍微容易一点，好，毕竟老板的母语是英文，但其实麦德先生也有在学中文，所以除了沟通上可以双重语言交流以外，也是促进他们和员工之间的文化背景交流，甚至有时候还可以帮忙员工他们的英文作业。那除了这些以外呢，来宾也跟大家分享了一些他觉得在学语言上还蛮受用的一些方法，除了不外乎是我们常常讲到的要多用以外，也要试着多让自己多处于我们在学的那个语言环境里，才会更容易吸收。好，只是我们当然也是要懂得去学习，在这个错误中成长啦。好，对于讲错的文法、讲错的字，我们就笑一下就带过就好了。像刚刚他们说的统编和大便两个发音因为有点类似而搞混的这种情况，算是很尴尬没错，但是也可能就会因为这种窘境呢，而让你更印象深刻，更容易学起来。最后麦讲了一句话，我觉得大家应该都颇受用的是 build your skill set and really work towards perfecting it。 好，就是说好好去帮自己建立一套技能，然后想办法去磨练，去 hone it， 好，让这样的技能呢越来越好。好啦，那希望大家都有从这次的内容学到一些东西，有兴趣的话呢，找个时间去他们这一间人气爆表的这个生机饮食餐厅自然食乌恰恰吃吃看哦。
Alright, bye everyone. Peace. Alright, well that is our NG英文 show for today. We hope everyone enjoyed listening to that. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and now Spotify. You can search NG英文, or you can search on IG NG English ICRT. And don't forget to tune in every Wednesday morning from 6:30 to 7 and Wednesday night from 9 to 9:30. We'll catch you on the next episode. Bye bye.
好啦，今天的节目就到这边告一段落啦，感谢各位的收听，别忘了订阅我们的 Spotify 还有 YouTube 频道哦。那喜欢我们节目的话，也要记得到 Instagram 到 IG 上追踪我们哦。如果各位有什么其他问题是想要问来宾的，也请欢迎在底下留言告诉我们，我们一定会想办法帮你问到手。好啦，那就下周在空中相会咯，拜拜。